that is basically dominated by individuals who are controlling narcotics.
So Professor, let me ask you, so are you then saying that Section 8 does not reinforce what the government is doing, does not buttress what the government has said?
No, I think I'm joined by academia in both Jamaica and the United States. Section 8 is there for circumstances where, for instance, the grand jury foreman has not signed the indictment, or the warrant does not come with the indictment. It is a major violation of the presentation packet that is supposed to go from diplomat to diplomat, from state to state. Well, it is a significant problem. But what it appears that the Prime Minister and the Attorney General have started to play the role as Mr. Coke's lawyer, even before he needs a lawyer, because he technically wouldn't even need a lawyer until the arrest warrant is issued. They've started to play a role as Mr. Coke's lawyer in a premature, sad, and very unhappy situation. And it appears that evidentiary technicalities are being trotted out to justify what they're doing.
We hear that a second indictment might be on the way from the U.S. Have you heard anything about that?
Yes, the general impression in the legal and diplomatic community is that another indictment has been returned. General grand jury indictments are secret until they are unsealed, so nobody knows for sure. But the impression in Washington, the impression in political, legal, and academic circles is that there is conduct that is suggestive of another indictment. It's obvious that there was law enforcement activity after the indictment, because we can see evidence of the law enforcement activity after the indictment in the report.
Yes.
So how the law enforcement activity after the indictment is actually, how it is concluded, when it is concluded a new indictment, I warned from the very beginning that I thought there would have been another indictment. From the date was on August 29th when I was interviewed by the BBC. I thought there would be ongoing law enforcement activity if Mr. Coke was not released, or was not at least arrested. Mm-hmm. There is no issue that the Prime Minister raised that Mr. Coke's lawyers or multiplicity of lawyers cannot raise in a Jamaican court, and ought to. Minister Coke ought to raise any issues that are germane to him and his situation in a Jamaican court. He is being prevented from doing so by this very odd, very premature, very non-diplomatic move by the government of Jamaica, which appears to be inexperienced in matters of this type and muddling their way from one crisis into another. In the meantime, the Jamaican people are suffering from the results of the situation.
Before we come to the fallout, the Prime Minister said that one last comment from his presentation to Parliament. He said the Jamaican government indicated to the US that if other evidence existed, the procurement and disclosure of which were not in violation of Jamaican law, the Minister would be prepared to accept that evidence and issue the necessary authority to proceed. He said no such evidence has up to now been presented. Are you comfortable with that? In other words, does that suggest that if the US goes ahead and presents what they consider to be well-obtained, properly obtained evidence, that they would? Or are you not confident?
I was very surprised when I read that, because again, here you have an indictment that says this individual was importing guns into Jamaica through a wharf that is closer to Tivoli Gardens. Now, has that been investigated? The indictment says that he is distributing cocaine from that wharf to New York. Has that been investigated?
Is it the Jamaican authorities should investigate that also?
There is a press release dated the 20th of August that deals with those issues, and there is an unsealed grand jury indictment. Now,
the Jamaican authorities should investigate that, you're saying? Shouldn't
they? I mean, they seem to be spending a great deal of time on whether one of the information they get about the informants comes from the grand jury indictment. So they're very concerned about how one particular informant received his evidence. What about the plethora of information in the indictment about severe breaches of Jamaican law. They're concerned about that. But about the individuals who are killed by guns in Jamaica every day.
All right, hold that point.
That indictment seems to be talking about the illegal guns that cause these deaths.
We go to a break right here on Direct as we continue our discussion here at the University of Miami School of Law, known also for its international law program here, which has been catering to many students from the United States and members of the Caribbean diaspora as well. When we come back, more discussions right here on Direct. Stay with us.